Hello there and welcome aboard your Chatterbox Airways flight to the sacred, sensual and sacrilegious world of taboo. Now, there are things that we shouldn't talk about, but you know you want to, and sometimes there are things you want to do, but maybe society says, Now, my name is Andy and I'll be your captain today as we stop over in the lands of sex and sexuality. Today, Vin takes us on a style guide through sexy culture clashes. Aisha meets two very inspiring young women, and Adam learns that what's between your legs doesn't mean you can't race between the checkered flags. But first stop on today's tour is a piece on art and the role it plays on determining our cultural sexuality. Please meet artist extraordinaire, Mr. Liam Benson.
My name is Liam Benson and I'm a performance artist. I use photography and video to show my work, and I combine those three elements to explore notions of gender, subculture and culture, and at the moment I'm looking at Australian identity, how that is evolving and the kind of influences that are causing it to change and grow. I use a lot of metaphors and I use a lot of symbols in my work, and I like to edge quite close to being literal in my imagery so that I can find that one-liner. A lot of my characters blur the lines between the genders, so they'll be feminine or masculine, but they might not be exactly a female or a male character. And I think this is the thing about your gender and your sexuality is that it's a bit of a journey. Nobody really gets handed it on a plate. You've got to figure it out, and I'm hoping that in my work I give people a few more choices and get them to sort of negotiate the roles that I play in a different way, because I want everyone to be able to enter into a dialogue with my work. It's not just for, you know, the queer crowd, or it's not just for the art crowd who understand and are immediately comfortable with all those things. Motherland looked at Australia's relationship with its British heritage and used metaphors from the monarchy. And I drew parallels between the British monarchy and Australia and my own family. So I looked at the matriarchy in my own family, my grandmother, my mother, my sister, and I embodied those roles. So the Opal Queen it's about Queen Elizabeth, and it's about Australia's changing attitude to who it is and what it is in relation to that heritage, and created works like the flag, where I played a little bit more with that very simple and very tight stylization in my work, still keeping things really simple so that one-liner can come through. And as my practice grew, I started engaging in different projects, and Our Lucky Country, which I did at Hazelhurst Regional Gallery over 2 years actually, 2006 and 2007, really started my interest and engaging with the anxiety within Anglo-Saxon Australia. And I'm taking that and then taking this really precious national symbol and I'm making it my own by flocking it in glitter. And I feel that if I'm doing that, I think that's what everyone should do with it. It's not just for racists and bogans to use as this shield or to symbolise a fear or to symbolise a narrowing of the community. I feel like these icons and these symbols are an opportunity for everyone to enter into it and to bind the community together, not separate the community. The people, are steadfast on their views until a certain point when they have an experience that changes things for them. And I try not to get too upset when I hear people say things because ignorance is temporary. And we live in a community in a country that is well educated, has the most amazing array of people from all over the world, and we're all here together, and it's only a matter of time when connections are going to be made and people will get communicating, and that veil of paranoia or anxiety over difference it slowly gets lifted.
Welcome back to Chatterbox and our exploration of sex and sexuality. Now, imagine this. You're watching TV at your folks' place, it's one of your favourite shows, you've even recommended it to your parents who are watching it with you. And when the lead character starts to get some long-awaited action, you reach for the remote, but your dad says, "Hey, I'm watching that." Awkward. Is that a big enough word for how that feels? Well, sex on screen and off is everywhere. So how do young people who abstain feel about society's unquenchable demand for it? Aisha has this story.
Located on the west coast of Africa, Sierra Leone is mostly known for its conflict diamonds, magnificent beaches, and, well, beautiful women. Today, I decided to shift the topic a little bit and talk to some of my community sisters and auntie about what is commonly known as mama and papa sex.
I believe that if you talk about it, there's less of an impact of something negative happening. I believe if that was my child, I would discuss it so my child would feel open to talk to me about anything and wouldn't have to feel like, well, I have to hide and I will rebel. I will do whatever I want to do. But I definitely feel like sex should be done with the person you love, and it's not just for the moment.
So let's get back to the parent thing. Why do you guys think we don't talk about these things at home? Why do you think it's so awkward?
It's because of comfort zone. Like, I would rather talk about sex to my friends.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't mean because you talk about sex, you've done it.
And your mom tells me she always tries to talk sex
She
to you
tries
and
to
you
bring
run
it-
away.
Like, I can't handle. Like, I can't deal. I can't even deal with it with my friends.
Okay, people are going to hate me after this, but this is my view.
Oh my God.
A woman's job is to bear the children. It's to raise them up. It's to be there, like, you know, have the dinner ready. I'm really old-fashioned. Have the dinner ready. Have, like, the bath ready for your husband. You know, so he comes home because home is where your heart is.
And you want the chase. You don't want it easy. A man doesn't want an easy go because then he thinks you're a fling. And I don't want to be a fling.
African families are pretty tough with their values. I wanted to find out how these girls cope with external influences like the media.
And I feel like younger girls will easily get influenced by that. But it's your choice to say no and do you, be who you are, be true to yourself. Because you're not Rihanna, you are yourself. I am Aisha. I'm not Kim Kardashian.
How much has your upbringing influenced your views?
Well, I believe because I've seen my grandmother and my mother get pregnant at a very young age and have to deal with all of the stress and all the abuse and all of that. And I feel like I definitely don't want to be impacted or definitely don't want to have the same kind of influence that they had in the peer pressure. I believe because of all their stress, because all of that's happened to them, that I did not want to be a victim of that.
We've established that sex is not one of the things that's talked about in Sierra Leonean households. Let's talk to someone from an older generation and see what she thinks about this.
My days, I don't speak back to my parents. I don't say no to them. I don't argue with them. When it comes to sex, you don't talk about it. It's a taboo.
Do you think we should change that?
Definitely agree with you guys. You should. You should find a way how these things should be spoken about, because for example, I observed that a lot of young girls are becoming pregnant these days, and they shouldn't just follow the Western style or follow maybe because they're getting money from government. It's not good. You're supposed to actually get an education, because that's why we came here, to achieve the good things in Australia, not the bad things.
Sexuality is a personal choice. However, I hope we've inspired you to talk openly with your family members and community members about sexual matters.
This is Chatterbox, and today we're talking sex and sexuality. And you know, I've actually done a sex scene once, and let me tell you, the pressure to perform is much more intense than the real thing. I didn't have to say that, did I? Awkward pause. Right, anyway, how does sex and sexuality express itself in different cultures? You know, some cultures see sexuality as private or perverse, while other cultures celebrate and even build religions around it. So is sexuality a universal thing? Vin gets into the community to talk about sex. Easy, that won't be awkward at all. Over to you, Vin.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to winter season. Men in dresses. Can it be done? In my culture, we have the áo dài, the Vietnamese national costume typically worn by women. The male version is known as the áo gấm, and both incorporate a silk tunic worn over light pants. Both are worn for festivals, schools, weddings, and other traditional ceremonies. But beyond that, can men wear dresses like normal attire, such as jeans?
I would not wear it as everyday wear. Definitely not everyday wear. The only occasion on if I would wear it would be definitely only traditional Vietnamese weddings, and just to respect the traditional values of the Vietnamese culture.
You wouldn't see men wear dresses out often, and when you do, people sort of like think that they're like a bit out there, like their dress is not normal.
They get judged easily.
Yeah, like easily judged, and it's more easily like accepted for girls to wear dresses.
Nếu tôi thấy một thanh niên mà mặc áo gấm, áo dài gấm ở đường phố, tôi nghĩ người đó không bình thường. Tại vì cái áo gấm chỉ mặc thanh niên mặc ở trong lễ cưới mà thôi.
Unlike other cultures, this dress is specifically prescribed to certain events only. It's like wearing a tuxedo. If you wear a tuxedo to Woolworths, probably not the best idea, because tuxedos are only for black tie events or very formal occasions. Same thing with the traditional Vietnamese dress. It's only suited for formal occasions. Before French colonization, the traditional Vietnamese dress was worn by both men and women. Commoners would typically wear the colours in black, whilst this royal blue and this outlandish beautiful embroidery was more reserved for royalty, weddings, and other festive occasions. Now, after French colonization, the women still wore the áo dài, but men wore suits and ties due to its Western influence and an expression of universal professionalism.
Hoặc nếu có đi theo những người mà già, đàn ông thật là già đó, làm những cái lễ chẳng hạn như là lễ giỗ tổ Hùng Vương thì được, cái đó rất được.
No one actually made dresses for men yet so that they can wear comfortably. Like no one actually modeled them or put it into trend. So it's harder for men to just wear dresses now.
The Vietnamese dress, whilst very beautiful and elegant, is not appropriate for everyday wear in Australia. The general consensus amongst the young Vietnamese community and the old is that it looks ridiculous because it's being worn outside of its context. Unless you're going to a wedding, a cultural festival, a pageant, or any extremely formal Vietnamese occasion, it shouldn't be worn. This is Vinh Nguyen from Winter Season, signing off.
Welcome back. Now, in Australia, gay marriage was a major talking point in the recent federal election, and with the change in government, Chatterbox just has one thing to say on the matter. Fair shake of the sauce bottle, Tony. Love is love, so live and let live, okay? All right, now enough about that. Now, when I say drag, do you think of men in wigs and sequins? Hey, stay focused and stop daydreaming. No, today I'm talking about ladies and hot rods. Allow Adam to introduce you to female drag racers who know what it feels like to have a supercharged, high-octane animal of an engine under their complete command. Now, Adam, take us away to Eastern Creek Raceway.
I guess it all started when I was quite young. I always used to go out to the go-kart track at Newcastle and watch my brother go round and round, and as soon as I was old enough I wanted to have a go myself. I used to think it was the coolest thing in the world.
It was definitely the top fuel. There was one girl in there that I used to idolise, Rochelle Splat. So yeah, I think she's what did it for me. I always wanted to, you know, sort of follow in her footsteps, so to speak. Everything has always been about cars. I don't have any family that do it. I never went to the track when I was younger. It just must be in my blood, I don't know, but it's just, yeah, something I've always done and always loved. You kind of want to prove yourself, being such a male-dominated industry, that you can do it and that females are just as good as the males.
Intimidation plays a bit of a role because, you know, you're a female in a man's sport, you could say, but I don't know, I think it's all in our heads sometimes. We just get that aspect of what motorsport is, but it's a lot completely different. A lot of the guys out there, I'm just a racer and that's how it should be.
We're organising the Supernats events together to give the opportunity to females and males to come out there and battle it out and have a good time and have families to enjoy that moment with us.
Legally
off the streets.
They want to do burnouts, they can do burnouts. They want to do drag racing, they can do drag racing. Go to woe. And they can win an overall cash prize of like $5,000 over man. And we've got one here today actually. She's up there with the big boys.
The difference being a female racer is it surprises a lot of people. A lot of people will see the car and they'll hear your name over the PA and they're like, yeah, no, it's a fast car, and then someone says, oh, do you know that's a girl driving? No way. And it's sort of, they just don't believe it's possible, and to me it's hard because there's no reason for it not to be possible. Like, there should be more girls running. Girls would have a ball racing, especially when they can beat a guy. That's the best thing at the end, is to shake their hand and go, you know, we just got beaten by a girl.
We're showing off the cars with our skills. And it is a proven fact that women are better drivers than men, so we're proving that on the race courses, and we're going to bring it more and more and more.
Yeah, the feeling before you go in, you start getting a little bit nervous.
As soon as you sort of go through that tunnel, you start to get, you know, jitters.
Just the noise of the car and the smell of the smoke, the rubber.
Got my helmet on and my gear on. I get quite anxious. It's a mix of excitement and nerves as well. But as soon as you get on that line and do your burnout and whatever, it's just all comes naturally. You do your burnout, back up, your stage. Yeah, you just sort of forget everything and you watch those lights, and once they come down, it's all on.
I think on track you're racing, female or male, it doesn't really matter. Off track, yeah, I love meeting new females in motorsport. It's great, whether they be drivers, officials, pit crew, engineers. It's great to see more women in motorsport.
I try and do as much as I can, and I'm always wanting to learn as much as I can. So, I mean, we've pulled down this motor a few times, and I'm always there, like getting my hands dirty, and yeah, I love it.
Back when I was growing up, they were like a cheap man's car. Now you can't really get them as much. They're hard to come by. So yeah, my very first car was a Sigma, and I learnt how to drive in one, so now I've got one as a burnout car.
When I first bought it, it was originally white and had a 308 in it. But yeah, I just thought the matte black gave it a bit of a tougher look, and I've now got a 383 Chev in there, so gets up in boogies pretty well. You can start in a street car, you can start at a base level just to, you know, get the hang of it, but as soon as you're in, that's where you can sort of go places. But you've got to make that first step and actually do it. Don't even second guess it, just go for it. It's the best.
I'm nowhere near the finish line of my career, but I'm on the pathway there, and to share it with other females in the sport would make it all the more special. So go for it, girls.
And that brings us to the close of this month's Chatterbox. I hope you've enjoyed our flight through sex and sexuality. Now here's a little something to take away with you. Marilyn Monroe famously stated, "Sex is part of nature, I go along with nature." and so do I, Marilyn, so do I. Thanks for watching. My name is Andy Mintru. I'll see you next month on Chatterbox when our tour of the taboo continues.
Action.